Started.
Okay, we have a quorum. Unfortunately, we don't have John Cameron, and we are expecting a couple of other guests to participate. On our agenda, we've got a couple of things, and there are a couple of extra items that have arisen since I posted the notice that we'll need to talk about today. First on the items was our 105 and 106 planters. Cheryl went and bought us some rubber mulch. Has everybody had a chance to look at the mulch?
Yes.
Okay. And I think that we ought to try it. Anybody have any objection to trying it in 106?
Nope.
Okay, so Cheryl, perhaps you can undertake that, or however we go about it. I don't know if you asked John to do it or if we, I think what we have to do is go to the board and tell them we would like to try that in the 106 planter, and subject to availability of the funds, because we're running short of funds in the landscape department. Get that and we'll put it in 10. There's John Cameron.
There's John.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Good. Good morning. We started without you, but literally haven't done more than one sentence.
All right.
So we're talking about the planters in 105 and 106 and trying the rubber mulch in 106 to see how that works.
It's kind of an experiment, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So we're going to submit it to the board. Who's talking?
I am. John, that mulch, any kind of mulch, is not a landscape, doesn't come out of landscaping, it comes out of whatever, the general.
Oh, I don't know that. Well, again, we'll just submit it to the board and ask them, subject to funds that they have available. We'd recommend trying that in 106. I think they have to remove what is there, the mulch that is there, and then put out the rubber mulch on top of that.
Right, I think.
But I think that's our recommendation. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Actually, it is part of the landscape budget.
With a kill, we've got some of those grasses coming up, so they'll probably have to take off the old mulch and then it and pull up they'll leave that down and then just put the mulch on it, the rubber mulch.
Okay. John, do you need more from us in order to take that to the board?
No, I don't think so. We'll just tell them it's an experiment on 106 and that we anticipate it'll be paid other than out of Chad's budget.
Actually, John, it will be paid out of Chad's budget. There is a line item in the budget, the landscape budget for mulch.
Mhm.
I will simply leave that to the board. If we don't have any money for it, then we won't do it. If they can provide the money elsewhere, we'll do it. But our recommendation is to try the rubber mulch in 106 after removing the existing mulch and killing the weeds that are there.
So why wouldn't that mulch be part of mulching that we do?
I don't have any idea,
Well,
but Joanne's the one that said it comes elsewhere. But I don't care where it comes from. All I'm saying is if it comes from us and we don't have any money, it has to be postponed. If they can find the money or can get it from us, that's cool. Let's go ahead and do it if we've got the money.
As far as I'm aware, having looked at the financials for March, I haven't seen the April financials, but having looked at the financials for March, you do have money in the replacement / mulch line.
I don't know that that includes paying Anthony his $12,000 to do the sea grapes. I suspect it does not.
No, that came out of trimming. There's another line item called trimming. So you have a line item called trimming. You have a line item called replacement / mulch.
right. Well, did you see anything coming through for 20 bags of mulch for the courtyard?
I don't see that. I only see the monthly financials.
I'm sure not. Anyway, to me, these things are absolutely irrelevant. We're recommending we try the rubber mulch in 106 after removing the existing mulch and the weeds. They can get the money wherever the hell they want to get it. If it's from us, that's cool. If we've got the money, let's put it off.
Can I?
Say again? Sure.
Can I go ahead and get what we need?
No, not until the board approves it.
Yeah, not till
We
the
gotta
board
get it from
approves
the
it,
board.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's 105 and 106 is taken care of. I'd spoken to John just very informally last evening about having difficulty keeping track of what we've got left in our budget. And as Ann pointed out, all we've got available to us is through the end of March. And I think I had mentioned at our last meeting that I've kind of looked at our budget as a whole rather than just restricting it to line items. Because, good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay.
Good morning.
Hi.
And because I think we probably exceeded the trimming with the 12,000, but in any event, I'm looking at it as a total budget, and I think we're getting pretty close to the end, so we need to be very careful. As I make recommendations to the board, I want us to always say subject to the availability of funds. 'Cause I don't want to approve something and not have the money, and there's no way we can tell how much we've got. Nobody out there can tell us. So that's all of the comment I've got about the accounting portions. I want to
have a
move on.
question About
Okay.
what Ron puts up on the city sites.
Yes,
About when it comes to the financials,
yes,
it's just a couple of pages.
yes.
It doesn't go over the whole detail of what it was, subtract that, and what it usually is, and all the different details that we were getting from AR Choice.
Ron
We
is
get
putting-
our numbers from AR Choice.
Yeah, but it's only, what, 4 pages?
They're not the
It's not
complete
the complete
financials.
financials.
That's multiple pages.
Not to sound snarky, folks, but I only put up on the website what people give me, and whatever I'm given, it will be there. And I don't remember exactly what it was. It seems to me like there were quite a few pages, though. But nonetheless, if you need something else, please let Brian know, because it's not his responsibility.
He's the treasurer. And
Yes,
he'll either do it or tell you who to talk to do it.
right.
Okay. Anything else on the accounting before we move to the landscape project? Okay, with the landscape project, which to me is one of our bigger items we don't need to deal with today, we've talked to, either in combination or everybody as a group, probably 6 different companies to undertake or propose to undertake the replanting of the northeast sector and our multiplicity of other projects around the property. We've talked to just planting people who, when they saw the magnitude of the project, kind of declined, but said they'd like to bid once we get a plant list and an idea of where we're going. I've mentioned those before. I don't know that I have the whole list here. And we've talked to a couple of landscape architects, landscape designers. We've talked with folks out of South Florida, which we kind of pushed off to the sides because of the size of their estimate and the size of their fees. We've talked to Landscape Concepts, which Chris Runge, local. He was in charge of most of the landscaping at Johns Island for a number of years. He has his own company. He's the one that's working next door at Ocean Colony on a 5-year project. His upfront fee was $3,000. He will provide us with a plant list. He'll assist us if we need it in getting the bidding. He'll oversee some of it. All of these are extra costs, of course. The other one that I was particularly impressed with was Dan Ford. He came in and in just a few days produced quite a proposal for us, including a design of the land. Without showing what's being planted, he gave us a list of plants, a list of how much time it's going to spend. I think his upfront was probably $9,000 for all of his fees. Rock City did a proposal. They were early on, and before we really had all of the projects pulled together, look at the northeast sector, and I did walk around with some of the others, but asked him only to bid the northeast sector, and I've sent that around. So we have a Rock City. We've got pluses and minuses on all of these folks. I'd like the committee to comment on what they've got and perhaps give me a clue as to which way you're leaning. Can we start with Cheryl? You just happen to be the first one I see.
Yes, I'm head over heels with Dan Ford. Walking around with him, I agreed with everything he said as far as walking around. He was telling us what to trim and how far to trim, just walking around. I mean, this man is so knowledgeable. The fact that he has done the landscaping for this whole property early on, and he's worked in Johns Island for so many years, and he's done so much in Rio Mar Bay 2, which is down 17th Street Bridge, if you don't, it's just south of Quail. The proposal he put together was stellar. These others are great. I love Rock City, but I them mostly for my own plants. This is too big, but we might want to use them for the front or for some of their plantings. But he is just by far, his presentation was over what he put together in just 5 days.
Thank you. Joanne, any comments you've got on any of these proposals?
Well, yes, I thought.
Speak up, Joanne. We got to hear you.
I did not do the walk around with Dan Ford, but I got the information from Cheryl and I read his written plan, or it's not exactly a plan, but it's how he works and the cost. I still think Chris Runge could do a comparable job. He has anything. He has AutoCAD scaled plan. He prepares the bid specifications for vendors, conducts pre-construction meetings as well as on-site project management. And he's low-key. I think he would do an equal job, even though he doesn't have as much experience as Dan.
Okay, thank you very much. Barb, do you have any comments?
I really don't, because I'm not familiar with any of these. I did think Dan Ford's was pretty thorough when I looked it over. That would be my only comment.
Right. As much as I like Rock City, and I think I may have been the only one, maybe Joanne was with me on one of those walk-arounds, but I may have been the only one. I walked around with all of these folks. Rock City was the most creative, had the most ideas about what to do with the plantings in the northeast sector and around the entrance gate. The man that came over was literally excited about the prospect of this project. I really, really, really like Rock City. I think we know that they'll probably be a little bit higher. I think they have done big enough projects because we're not doing the entire property, we're doing segments of the entire property. I really like Rock City. I also like Chris Runge, and I mimic everything Joanne said about him. And then about Dan Ford, I loved what he did. He was extremely knowledgeable. My own leaning at this point would be to go with Chris Runge. I think that he's going to be easier to work with. I think he's almost a one-man shop, whereas Dan Ford has some younger guys that are likely to get, we're going to get them rather than him. He's the front man. Barb, you didn't give us a leaning except for like Dan Ford was your kind of idea?
That wasn't really a leaning. I just was reading over everything. I'm looking at the one from Chris Runge right now, and his price is good as far as his design plan.
This price.
I'd like to make a proposal for the committee that we recommend Chris Runge and his proposal to the board for acceptance and beginning with our project. How many want to vote? I got a second. Okay. How many in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That sounded like everybody. All right. That's what we're going to do. John, do you need more from us about Chris Runge and our proposal?
I don't. I think we've got to look very carefully at the fine print in the proposals. I noticed that at least one of them, there was a very strict liability limitation provision that I see all the time these days from architects and engineers. I find it offensive. Often we have to live with it. The courts are definitely enforcing those provisions. There's recent case law as recently as a few months ago. Courts say if you sign a contract like that, you're stuck with it. So I would want to make sure we very carefully review the terms and conditions. And I will say this, and I will say this at the board meeting today as well. My take on this, and I'm only one person, is we need to have a landscape plan for the whole place. And once we have the plan, we need someone to be in charge of enforcing the plan. And no one is going to have the authority to change the plan except the landscaping committee as approved by the board. And if that takes a special assessment or whatever to get it done, I would probably support that. I did walk around with Dan Ford the other day in his presentation, and I've walked several times now since I've been here. And my view is that the grounds need to be looking better. There are places where they're just not looking that good right now. And we need to do something about that. So that's a long way of saying no. Thanks for the motion, and I'll take that to the board this afternoon. We'll see what happens.
Thank you very much. If anybody asks, I don't think there is any question there's going to have to be a special assessment. Considerations may be to doing it all in one fell swoop, or we may be able to stagger it over a couple of years. Chris Runge is overseeing a 5-year project at Ocean Colony, so I know he can work in that fashion and has no problem doing so.
Do I have the Runge proposal, Jen? Is that in that?
He's called Landscape Concepts.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If I could say something. Hello?
Sure.
Hi.
Yes, Jay. Yes,
Yeah.
Jay.
I looked over all the proposals, obviously, and, you know, my opinion that Dan Ford's not only is the most comprehensive up front, but in the long run with some voids in several of the other proposals, and the ability of Dan Ford to get necessary materials at wholesale pricing versus some local suppliers. In the long run, my feeling is that he is going to be not only the least expensive for the overall project, but the most consistent. And as far as his handing it off to subordinates in his office, I don't think that really is a major concern if we simply mention to him or ask him that he be the lead person, because he's a very hands-on person on all of his projects, other than physically telling somebody where to put a particular plant in a particular spot. From that standpoint, I think that is a no-starter, because everything will be listed on his, I don't have a business relationship with him, but from his reputation of years ago, presently, I personally think that he should be, his contract, any contracts, as was previously mentioned, should be closely reviewed for both exclusions and total cost. Because even though one contract may seem a little bit lower to do the plan, which we definitely need a written plan, in the long run, I think I feel Dan Ford's is going to be the most comprehensive without escape clauses.
Thank you for that. Anybody else have any comments?
I wanted to mention to John Cameron, with Chris Runge, have 2 opportunities to change the plans that he.
Joanne, please speak up a little bit. You have a dainty, nice little voice, but you're hard to hear.
Chris Runge's proposal, I feel he's not such a great writer, perhaps, but you do get 2 opportunities to change the plan Did you come across that when you read it, John?
Yes, I'm just looking at these things now here. Yes, I'm at a disadvantage a little bit on that though, Joanne, because I did not meet with that guy. And so, for whatever it's worth, and probably not worth very much, I do kind of concur with what Jay said about Dan Ford. I really like Dan Ford, but that's not fair because I didn't meet with the other guy and I don't know him. But to the extent that what you're saying is an advantage, that's something that I guess mitigates in favor of that proposal.
And John, which of the contracts have the clause that you object to?
I can't answer that sitting here. I've got these papers in front of me and I don't know which of them had it. I saw it in at least one of them. I'd have to
John,
go
I don't
through.
know that makes any difference. We're going to review all of the contracts or whichever one is selected for those types of things and deal with them.
Yeah, that's right, Chad. So we certainly would do that before entering into a contract.
Any other comments?
Sorry.
Could you give us some indication of what's in these contracts? For example, what are they proposing to do? How much are they asking for that?
Yes. Yes.
We have all of that. The first one that we got was from an outfit in South Florida that was recommended strongly. They specialize in doing university campuses, huge condominium places, many commercial things. Their fees up front were $40,000 and their estimate to do the Northeast sector only was $200,000.
But that's not one that you've chosen. I'm more interested in the ones that you are discussing now.
That was our first one that came in and we kind of kicked it to the curb because it just didn't fit us. The other one is Chris Runge. We have him at $3,000 starting to do an overall plan. There will be add-ons. I guarantee you there will be add-ons because we don't have a full blueprint of the property and he's going to have to do something with that. We've checked with Indian River Shores. We've checked around. We do not have what they need in the landscape department and he's going to have to prepare that. That will be an expense, but that will also be an expense for Dan Ford. That will also be an expense for Rock City. So those are kind of comparable, except for hourlies. The hourlies are very comparable. Chris Runge.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me finish if you don't mind, Jay.
Sure.
The Chris Runge is $3,000 up front. He's experienced. He does plans. He's given us a couple of times to revise the plans. Dan Ford, I cannot say enough about Dan Ford. He is just wonderful. I just think we would rather work with Chris Runge, and that's why I made the proposal.
No,
Jay, you
we
had
don't
something?
have-
Yeah.
we don't have any figure.
I'm sorry. All I was going to say is that if I interpreted Dan Ford's proposal accurately, well, first of all, no matter who it is, it's going to run us at least $10,000 to ultimately do a plan for this property, at least $10,000. There's no doubt it's going to come in under that, maybe 9,900, but it's close enough to 10. Secondly, Dan Ford up front, I believe his 9,700 fee is going to include, as it did in the visual presentation, what is here and what is going to be added to existing. So we pretty much know what his fee is up front, $9,700, plus whatever we buy and decide upon in the form of the shrubbery. I've never met Mr. Runge. I have nothing against him one way or another. It's just from seeing the properties that Ford has done, I just feel he's got much more experience under his belt, especially for this property, who he originally designed the property landscaping originally, and he's local. I just think he's somebody that, you know, we should really consider, not only from his knowledge base, but also, if we're going to do this, we should, it's going to end up running us 125,000 at least total between landscaping, shrubbery, and architecturals. Pay the $2,000 or $3,000 a unit, get it over with, and be done. Move on.
Jay, I understand and I appreciate your comments. I have had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Runge, and I have met Dan Ford, and I think they are equally capable. I don't know anybody else on the committee or elsewhere have a comment.
Well, I have a
Okay,
question.
Go ahead, Joanne.
Chris Runge, he's the one who prepared a large-scale survey of our property. And I think that's the one that was turned over to you. I don't know if things have changed with the what do they call it? The construction line or any of that. You
The
mentioned
coastal
that-
construction line.
Yeah.
That we got from Orrin. He had gone to a surveyor or the engineer, was it last October or the prior October, and they had marked on the plan that we had where the coastal construction line is. And that was as of, Cheryl, do you recall whether it was last year or the prior year?
I think you just got it in October.
October of last year. So it's certified, it could be certified. It's not certified, but he marked it on there and said, if we want to pay to get it certified, we can get it certified. But it is marked there. We have not paid them the money to mark the lines, because they charge something like $1,000 to simply come out and mark it.
I think that before we move forward, just to cover ourselves, we do need to have that certification.
Yeah, I think it should be posted somewhere so other people could see it.
The coastal.
What are you talking about, Joanne? You
Just a
talking
large-
about the coastal construction line?
Just the survey that, as it came.
It came from it's on the county record, so it's not exact. We'd have to have it surveyed, but
Right.
But it was close.
But I think it would educate more people who are living here, just to see that.
Okay, I have no problem with posting that.
And I have one more comment. Because we have all of Dan's figures in detail, if no one's seen that.
Incredible.
Incredible. We have not seen Runge's. I like what he's done next year, but we haven't, I know he's only $3,000, but that's not giving us a big enough picture at this point, I don't think.
Cheryl, believe me, he's going to be a lot more than 3,000. That's the teaser ad. His price.
And actually, Dan was he told what was all included in his fees and what was not included in the fees, and how much he considers to be allocated for each zone as a guesstimate. We got downright numbers from him, and I don't feel like I have a grasp of Mr. Runge's fees for anything.
Well, what if we go back to Chris Runge and say he's in the running, but we need more details from him?
If the committee wants me to do, I don't recommend doing that. I really am anxious to get this at least started. If we send this to the board as our recommendation and they want more details, then let's go back. But I think us delaying it is just going to cause more delays.
Well, can I ask how the board is working with these Zoom things and people out of town? I know they're only meeting about every other month, but can there not be proposals that they can email and vote with at any time? Certainly we're going to have a lot of emergencies pop up that we need answers now, not for the next board meeting. So say we waited 1 week and got Mr. Runge, I think he should get a fair shot at it. I mean, several of you really like him, but I don't feel like I had numbers on him. I was not here when the walkabout happened, and I like what he did next door, but that's all I have to go on, plus $3,000. I have a complete, I mean, I have a layout and everything. If people haven't seen that from, I just gotta show it to anybody who hasn't seen this.
Excuse me, are these proposals posted somewhere, or is there
No.
any way of seeing the details, or?
No.
Got 'em, Meg.
I see, okay.
So they should be, but you know, I just feel like I personally need more information on Mr. Runge, and I'm sure.
Are
that
you, let me ask this question. Are you suggesting we put up the proposals on a board somewhere and let the residents vote on it as opposed to
that
doing
would
the
be-
committee?
No, but I think since we're teetering on 2 people, I have lots of information on one, but no little on another.
Are you then changing your vote from, because we took a vote and we were unanimous on Chris Runge. Are you then changing your vote?
I am rethinking that just because of the fact I only know he's going to charge us $3,000 up. Don't know what any other
That's,
cost would be.
and Jay is absolutely correct. That's the tip of the
That's
iceberg.
only
He
the
has
walking-
other things that he has to do. And I said that when I made the presentation for him.
Right.
I know he is, but
Right.
others are going to have those additionals also.
And also, you know, we got a lot more information up front. You know, we got 20% information from what I reviewed from Chris Runge. I review contracts several days out of the week on various things. And if it was me and I looked at the 2, hands down, I would choose the one that was as detailed as possible, because I
And
know
if
what
I
I'm
look
doing
at the
up front.
plans, I would hands down just go with the papers. I met the people. I
I
like
understand.
to work with.
No, I understand what you're saying, Chad. It's just, this is a one-shot deal, so we want to make the best choice. And in order to make the best choice, we need the most information, not 20% of the details we need. That's all.
Okay, committee, anybody want to change their vote from Chris Runge, or are we still proposing that? Somebody talk to me.
I'd like to just change my to, I mean, I don't have an opinion at this point because I don't have all the facts. So
Joanne?
I don't want to go.
I want to say, one way or another, this is going to be a lot of money that we're asking owners to pay for. And I don't think that if we waited 1 week, got more information, I mean, I think that is what we should do. I mean,
Get more information from Chris Runge.
yeah, I think so.
Tell him what we got from
Everybody
Dan
else
Ford, and we want something similar from him before we make a decision.
Sure, I like to compare apples to apples.
Well,
and-
I mean, they're such different personalities. Is not a big talker, but he said most of the same things that
He
Dan
did.
said.
He did. I agree with
Everything,
you.
even about the fishtail palms and the ferns and Northwest, not moving the palms around and killing him and all this.
And
Well,
that's
I'm sorry,
great, but we don't know what it'll cost.
I mean, being a professional landscape architect, I'm sure he's come across situations where people have looked at his initial proposal and requested additional detail. I don't think if Ford could put this package together within a 5-day period, I'm sure Runge should be able to do the same if he's as good.
His initial proposal came within the same time frame that
Right.
Dan's did, but it's much smaller
Much smaller.
in scope. I am going to stay with my vote for Chris Runge. If the committee then votes to get more information, that's cool. I have no problem with that. And I will go to Chris Runge and tell him what the holdup is on getting him the contract. If he can make us a proposal that we can compare to Dan Ford's, I'll tell him who we're fighting against.
Well, I
So
don't
let
think
me
it's
ask-
necessary to share whom we're competing against. That's,
I think it's a really good idea, so he knows who he's fighting against. I don't see if there's any problem
Let
with
me
that.
ask, let me ask John Cameron about presenting to the board. If we miss today, you know, and we get information in 5 days and then we want to vote again, can we vote? Is the board going to email? How's it working?
I'm sure we can,
Go ahead.
I'm sure we can arrange a special board meeting by telephone if we need to. I'm
I agree,
not
because I
concerned
think
about
this
that.
is going to be a big discussion with the board. And
Well,
that's
I
why
think
I'm here to have it today.
Well, I think it is, but what I'm hearing is that we have a proposal here for $3,000 that's not terribly detailed, and we have one for about $10,000 that's very detailed. And apparently you all think this Chris Runge's a nice guy. I didn't meet him. And it just sounds to me like the board is going to say we need more information when you take a look at these two proposals, when one is specific and one is more general. And if the board is going to say, gee, we need more information, maybe it would be better to have the landscape committee get more information now and have a special board meeting by telephone or something later on. Just a
Okay.
thought. I'll take it to the board however you want me to.
Okay. Barb,
Yes.
what's your thoughts now?
Well, I think get more information would be my thought to compare the two.
Okay. Joanne, you're in favor of getting more information?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Since I've already met all these people, I'm still for Chris Runge, but 3 of you will get more information.
Chad, would it be possible when you're getting additional information to possibly ask if he can give us a visual presentation so we are comparing apples to apples?
A visual, you mean the
Exactly what
thing that Dan Ford did?
Yes.
I'll ask.
He should
I'll
be able
ask
to give he should be able, with all the virtual, whatever, they should be
Right.
able to do that.
And that
Okay.
way we know visually exactly what he's proposing. There's no mistakes when you can see it with your own eyes.
I'll ask him. I'm not sure that's what Dan Ford's did, but I understand what you're saying. Okay,
No, he's talking about
I'll
like
go
this
back to it.
visual, like, love to see that. Now we can see how much for this spot and how much for that spot.
Right, with a breakdown of what the detailed plantings would be, the same as exactly what Ford did. That's all.
He should be able to. He should.
I will ask him.
I'm
if he
sorry,
can.
but what's confusing me is that Jay seems to have all of the information. And those of us who are not members of the committee, but have been attending, do not have any of those details. And I'm wondering, how did Jay come to have all the information?
I was given the information by Chad. I scanned it and I sent it back to Chad. It's, you know, I can scan, it can be sent to me.
I see. Okay.
And do
All right.
that, this whole
All right,
thing.
that's what we'll do.
I'm sure.
That's all over with. Down into miscellaneous stuff. The annuals in front of the gatehouse are dying or dead, and it appears they've been eaten by moles. There's a huge colony of moles up in that area. We've got moles around in other areas. I'm going to suggest we don't plant any additional annuals in the gatehouse bed until we get rid of the moles. I don't know how long that's going to take. Perhaps we'll want to put down some attractive mulch in the meantime.
Okay, but it's not.
We've had a suggestion from Dan Ford when we did the walkabout that we get some owl houses to attract owls to the property, which will then eat the moles. But that to me sounds like a multi-year project.
When I spoke to him, he was very stressed out.
What was that, Jay? Nothing? Oh, all right. This, I guess, is just kind of for information for folks. We've shopped the owl boxes online. I think Cheryl did the same thing. We probably found the same outlet, and it was like $59, $60 a box. I'm guessing we need multi-boxes.
No,
Is everybody still there?
Yes, we're
Yeah,
here.
we're getting.
Okay,
notices.
because I'm hearing
We're getting
somebody else
unmuted.
talking and I had a black screen.
Yeah, we have a number 570. that has joined the conference, and there is something called Zoom bombing. So this may be an intruder.
Oh,
Yeah,
can you get rid of them?
I don't know who that is, and I've dumped him
Get rid
out.
of them then. Then get
I've
rid of
muted
them.
him out. He can't do anything.
Okay, fine.
You go, Ron.
Okay. Any comments or conversation about the moles? Somebody told me that John got rid of moles last year. Well, either they've come back or he didn't do as good a job as we thought he did. Because I mean, they are everywhere on our property. And we need to do something to get rid of them. Any suggestions other than the owl boxes that Dan Ford had suggested? I'm going to propose that we get 5 owl boxes. Propose this to the board subject to availability of funds that we'll then have mounted in our oak trees to try to attract owls, which will then get rid of the rodents. In the meantime, we'll try to avoid planting new plantings where the moles are. We know it's going to be a while. I'm guessing it's going to be a year or 2 before we get this problem eradicated or under control.
Well,
Any
I have
other
a
comments on that?
But now, Chad, I would suggest we find someone within the Audubon Society who is very knowledgeable about owls. I'm not. I'm in the society, but I'm not the one to mention the pros and cons because I don't know them. But I can bring it up after.
You want to go ahead and do that for us, Joanne?
Yeah, yeah. With
Okay,
the president.
that's fine.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay, go.
We have a small property naturally, but we have, and it sounds cruel, but when we have moles, we use a trap. You set it on their run, and when they go under it, it snaps and it kills them.
No.
We've had a lot of objection from, well, a lot. We've had.
Well, the owl is going to kill them too. An owl,
Yeah, but that's nature though. That's nature.
it works.
So I still, let's Joanne go ahead and get the information about the owls, and we'll kind of table this thing about the boxes until we get that information back. And again, I would, once we get that, and if that's the direction we're going, we'll propose it to the board subject to the availability of funds, and propose that in the meantime, any place that's been infected with the moles will not be planted until we get it eradicated. Okay. I've had a couple of additional projects that have been suggested. By the entrance gate to the Victoria, in that little corner inside the wall, there's a stand of carrot woods, which are invading and now interfering with the growth of the oak trees. I have asked Anthony's to come give us a bid. He came yesterday. He gave us a bid of $400 to eliminate all of the carrot woods by pulling them up from their roots. He would cut them off and then use an axe to get at the roots and just kill them from the ground up. His bid of $400, I think, is incredible. I was expecting something much higher for that.
How many are there? How many?
20.
Are there? How many?
20?
Really? Really?
Lots.
Wow.
Lots. And a lot of big ones that are really getting involved in the oak tree.
Yeah, there are some big ones. I mean, they're not the kind you can pull up by the roots.
No, no, no. He was going to cut them off and take them an axe and chop up the roots and pull them out that way.
Okay.
It sounds like a huge project to me, so I was stunned at the 400. But I'd like to propose we go ahead and submit that to the board for approval, subject to the availability of our funds.
Actually, I believe since this is under $1,000, that as the board liaison, John can approve it, that it doesn't require a board vote.
And I'm not sure that's true. I've been told by Lizzie that doesn't apply to me. I've had to get board approval on $25.
You're going to have to learn to get along with Lizzie better then.
I think it had to do with my liaison.
Okay, so how much, tell me again,
We've got
Chad, tell me again how much?
$400.
$400, and that was for the removal of 20, what's the name of them?
Carrot woods.
Carrotwood. Okay, I was going to put cottonwood, and I knew that
And
wasn't
they're
right.
interfering with the growth of the oak trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
The other thing that has occurred, once we trimmed the sea grapes along the south side, the vines have gone haywire. A lot of them were removed in the trimming, but they have really taken over, and we have to get those under control. Or we're going to have the same situation on the south that we wound up having in the northeast. The vines grow incredibly fast. I've asked Anthony to give me a bid on removing the vines. He said it is a really big project. Basically, why didn't you have me do it when I was here before? I didn't think about it. And he said he's going to have to bring his lift back in. The bid, which I'm still expecting to come in, these are both verbal. The 400 was verbal. I'm expecting a written, maybe here now, and it was $1,000 to remove the vines from the south border. Folks, I don't think we have a choice. I think we've got to do it, or we're going to lose our sea grapes on the south. Wait, please.
Sure.
I've asked Joanne to also talk to Tropical about it tomorrow and see why can't they do it as a part of their maintenance. The vines are lower than 8 feet. All they have to do is cut them off and they'll die. And Joanne,
Yes,
you haven't had time to talk to them yet, have you?
You can trace the vines to the ground. They come down.
Correct.
The trunks.
Correct.
You just have to trace it down.
Correct. But
they're hard to
you
get
haven't had
out.
time to talk to Tropical, have you?
I haven't because they haven't been here.
Correct. Right. So just on your list to talk to them about would be great.
I actually, yesterday, took a walk through the northeast property, and we have some good vines growing. There's a succulent that's growing over there that I believe is a very good plant, but if you all on the landscape committee could look at that succulent, I think we might want to encourage that. But you also have a lot of Virginia creeper and a lot of bitter melon vines that need to come out over in the northeast, including some growing up onto the dune sea grapes.
Joanne, can you talk to them about them being tropical, about taking care of the northeast again? I know they sprayed it for weeds some time ago, but perhaps they can do it again.
Yeah, I think you want to try to keep that succulent. It's a beautiful succulent, if I'm correct. So Joanne, if you could look at that succulent and get someone to identify it, that may be a way of keeping the others from coming back and a way of keeping that dirt in that area covered. It does seem to be thriving.
Okay,
I'm going to ask you to accompany me because I'm not sure what.
Sure, I'll be happy to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So we've got that. See if we can handle that. On maintenance items, Joanne, you've been doing a really good job on keeping track of Tropical. They've moved our date up that we have to get to them to now Wednesday before 4 o'clock. Used to be it was Friday, then it was Thursday. Now it's up to Wednesday before 4 o'clock. And she's getting now accustomed to that time and doing a really good job on the maintenance items. We did have a little bit of furor come feedback on the trimming of the vine ferns, the ferns along the driveway. When we had originally proposed that in Joanne's weekly maintenance, Lizzie called all excited. I had to come down. There's nothing wrong with the ferns. You're going to show how these beautiful things are. Sam never wanted his ferns to be cut. And you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't. So we went down, and she, of course, went down to the ones as you enter the drive, which are pretty full and no problem. And I said, well, let's go over to the other side. And they're nothing but sticks and dying and dead ferns. And I said, these are the ones we need to try to bring back. We've talked to at least 3 landscape providers, those being 2 from Rock City, which now I guess I count as 1. They were here at different times, and Dan Ford. All said, cut them down to about 1 foot and they'll should be springing back. Caution the word should. Nobody said they're going to come back. but that's the advice we've gotten from professional landscapers. And I think it's a great try to do something with those. We've been told afterwards, after it was cut, and we sent the request to Tropical. Lizzie had a copy of it. After they were cut on, I think it was Monday of this week, Lizzie called me again, all excited. Said, somebody cut the ferns. It had to be Joanne, because I know Tropical wouldn't cut them. And so I said, well, she did a great job. She didn't like it because she thought I had agreed not to cut them. No, I didn't agree not to cut them. I thought you, Lizzie, didn't want me to just hedge all of the ferns in that sector. No, I'm just going to do the ones that have the sticks and the, so it really became a mess. I know who reported it to her, and because I know the words that were used. Joanne cuts everything. I know who that came from. And Joanne wants to destroy everything. I know where that came from. And stop her from doing any more. I know who that came from.
It sounds like we need an injunction.
It sounds like somebody needs to get one. But anyway,
Okay, well,
Lizzie is the one.
I want to,
Let me just say,
I want,
wait a minute. What are you saying?
So anyway, I have written back to her. She and I had a few little words, and anyway, I'm supporting Joanne. I think whoever cut the damn things did a great job. Joanne's told me it was Tropical. Then Lizzie went to John said it could possibly be Tropical because these weren't cut when they left on Friday. And Joanne had 3 bags of cuttings that she wanted me to dispose of first thing on Monday. And they were full of the cuttings. So it had to be Joanne. I don't care who cut them. If you did it, Joanne, great job. If Tropical did it, great job for getting them to do it. I think we need to see what's going on with those and if they'll come back.
I have a question about the ferns. What have you been able to determine what has caused the decline in those fern recently? Because for the entire time that I've been here, the ferns have been fine, and now suddenly those that are closer to the road turn yellow, and then now they seem to be dying. Has anyone said what's causing that? What is the problem?
My recollection from the conversations I've had, Maggie, are that it's a natural decline of the fern. But
I see. It's a life cycle issue that past
they're
their
dying out, and then they're going to come back somewhere along the line, but they're ugly in the meantime. Lizzie is upset enough about it. She said, we're going to just get all kinds of terrible feedback from the residents about what we've done with those ferns. And if I were you, I'd buy 10 clumps of ferns and plant them amongst the dead ones so it'll look like we're doing something. Well, I don't have the money. I'm not her. I'm not going to do it. I don't think that's an answer. In any event, I wanted to bring it to the attention of everybody attending that we have the ferns have been cut, that it was under the direction of, and it was just as normal maintenance should have been done to try to revive those ferns.
Okay, can I jump in?
Now, yes.
Well, I went to see the ferns, and I knew what was going to happen because that was on the list submitted to them, and I think Lizzie got a copy, you get a copy, right? So it's finished. Dan Ford was the one who said, cut those things down. And even his was even more than that because they're dead. Now, here's my point. We have 7 condos for sale here. When people are leaving this building, the last thing they see is that side. It's a disgrace. For all the money that we pay, it's awful. And even cutting them down, I'm not really willing to wait a year before they get glorious again. Most of them are dead. I would have our people pull them out and buy, I don't know, 10. If no one wants to buy anything, there's 50,000 of them right behind there that we could pick and choose and steal from. I don't know how easy they are to transplant, but what we have left, because they're dead, is a disgrace to anyone who's trying to sell property.
And it has been for a number of months.
It has been.
Yeah, our whole effort here is to revive them. I don't disagree. We should buy more, just replace them. But again, subject to our budget, we don't have a budget.
But we
That's
don't,
left.
we don't know how much it would cost. And plants are just not that expensive. We don't need great big ones, but we need to start fresh and have a nice exit. And when people are leaving here, my goodness, it's bad enough what's on the northeast side. That whole northeast side's a disaster. Let's at least let people have a nice view on the way out. I don't care what's in the budget. If we have to forego cutting the trees, as $400 for the trees, I would think $400 would cover new and bright and shiny ferns. That is my opinion.
Okay. Other comments? Joanne? Joanne?
You have
Any other comments about the ferns?
Well, following the instructions of Dan Ford, also Chris Runge, remember he said that way in the summer. I just said there's new palm frond or ferns coming up there. They're only about 2 inches tall. So cut those, cut above those. That's all.
Okay.
So that we see life on, we could keep and pray that they, and the ones that are dead, pull them out and put in something, I mean, put in, you know, or add some from the back. We have so much foliage around here and no one sees the back. So maybe we, I don't know.
Barb, any comments?
Well, I would agree that that needs to be taken care of.
So you think we ought to replant and get rid of the dead one, just pull them up and not let them have a chance to regrow?
Yes, I would say so,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Cheryl, you want to undertake that?
I'd love to.
Okay. Get us a
I'll
price.
get a price and, you know, we can talk about
On
it
both.
then.
Yeah. Tropical may be one that would do the replanting unless you and Joanne want to do it.
One thing I was going to say, I love the fact that someone thought Joanne could have got all that.
I do
They
too.
only knew what that would take.
It was a huge project. So
That
anyway,
is ridiculous to think that she could have done that.
anyway,
You strong man you are.
Joanne, on your maintenance items, perhaps in the future coming along, the scaveola on the north side sidewalk needs to be trimmed back. I noticed you had the one on the pool. That's a great item, but we have the same thing intruding into the sidewalk on the north side. We can add that on there somewhere. The weeds in the northeast sector, I think Ann Whitty has already brought that up. We need to have that treated again. The hibiscus at the cabana, there are some weeds behind them, behind the hibiscus and the cabana. They probably need to have that treated as well. Any other maintenance items?
I have one I'd like to add, which is that as you look behind the hedges, weeds are starting to accumulate again, and this is a tropical task that needs to be done. They did it last year, but it needs to be done again.
I agree with that, Ann. That's a good one. That's the hedges against the building.
Yep.
There are weeds growing behind them.
Yep. Oh.
There's also a planter that is above the fountain in the courtyard. And the planter has a lot of weeds too. You can see them from the balcony on the second or third floor when you look out on that west side in front of
Joanne, Maggie, I think Joanne has the courtyard on a major treatment coming up, so we can deal with that at that time. Good suggestion. Anybody else have comments, other items to bring before the committee?
Chad, I have one thing. I've been taking notes. I want to make sure I understand where we ended up on the Runge Ford situation. In fact, we're going to seek more information.
From Chris Runge. Yes.
Yeah, yes, okay.
And we will have either an email communication or another meeting before we submit it to
Okay.
the board.
Great, I'll make the report. Thanks, guys.
Okay, thank you. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you
Great
all.
job, Chad, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Keep well, keep safe.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.